Hello everybody. If you want to read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short story 661, The Great Screen Shortage of 23. Intermediate. The aroma of freshly soldered circuit boards usually filled the air at Pocket Rocket Phones Ltd, but today a different scent hung heavy. Panic. Barry, the factory manager, a man whose receding hairline was matched only by his receding patience, was staring at the production line with the intensity of a hawk spotting a particularly plump vole. "Where are they, Sandra? Where are the screens?" he bellowed, his voice echoing amongst the whirring machinery. Sandra, his long-suffering assistant, adjusted her glasses. "Well, Barry, according to the tracking, they're currently stuck in a customs warehouse in Ulaanbaatar." Barry's jaw dropped. "Ulaanbaatar? That's Mongolia, isn't it? We're making mobile phones, not delivering yaks." The problem was critical. Thousands of brand new, cutting-edge Pocket Rocket 15s were rolling off the assembly line, sleek and shiny, but utterly useless. They were phone-shaped bricks awaiting their luminous faces. The factory floor was a sea of half-finished devices, like an army of tiny, rectangular, headless horsemen. "We have a deadline, Sandra. The Pocket Rocket 15 launch is next week. People are pre-ordering these things faster than I can eat a packet of biscuits." Barry paced, narrowly avoiding a robotic arm. "Think, Sandra, think. What can we do?" Sandra, ever the pragmatist, tapped her chin. "Well, we could improvise?" Barry stopped. "Improvise? What do you mean, improvise? Are you suggesting we draw little screens on with felt-tip pens?" "Not quite," Sandra said, a mischievous glint in her eye, "but we do have a rather large shipment of emergency spare parts that arrived yesterday for the Pocket Rocket 3s. The Pocket Rocket 3 was a relic, a phone so old it practically belonged in a museum. Its screen was tiny, barely bigger than a postage stamp, and its resolution was, well, let's just say you could count the pixels." Barry stared at her. "You're not suggesting—" "Desperate times, Barry," Sarah shrugged. And so the great screen shortage of 23 led to one of the most bizarre weeks in mobile phone manufacturing history. The skilled technicians, usually meticulously attaching high-definition displays, were now painstakingly fitting minuscule Pocket Rocket 3 screens into the sleek bodies of the Pocket Rocket 15s. The results were, predictably, hilarious. "Look, Trevor," shouted Dave from Quality Control, holding up a phone with a tiny glowing square in the middle of its otherwise expansive face. "It's like looking through a keyhole into the future." "Mine looks like a sophisticated calculator that got lost," Trevor chuckled, trying to read a text message on his Frankenstein phone. Barry, meanwhile, was having a nervous breakdown in his office. He tried to explain the situation to the head of marketing, who initially thought it was an elaborate April Fool's joke. "So let me get this straight, Barry," the head of marketing said, slowly. "We're launching our flagship phone, the Pocket Rocket 15, which will have the screen of a Pocket Rocket 3. "Only until the proper screens arrive," Barry wailed. "It's a temporary, retro-futuristic design choice." The launch day arrived with the usual fanfare. Journalists gathered, eager to see the next big thing. Barry, sweating profusely, took to the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "we at Pocket Rocket Phones are proud to unveil the Pocket Rocket 15. A giant screen behind him displayed a perfectly rendered image of the phone. Then the production assistant wheeled out a display case containing the actual phones. A collective gasp rippled through the audience. not of awe, but of bewildered amusement. One journalist, bolder than the rest, raised his hands. "Mr. Barry, is that a window into another dimension on your phone?" Barry cleared his throat. "Ah, yes. This is our innovative peekaboo display. It's designed to reduce screen time and encourage users to engage more with the real world." He pulled out his own Pocket Rocket 15 with its tiny screen. "Notice how the compact display encourages a more focused interaction. No more endless scrolling, just pure, distilled functionality." Just as he was about to launch into a deeply unconvincing explanation of digital minimalism, a huge lorry rumbled past the factory, its horn blaring triumphantly. "Barry, the screens are here!" Sandra's voice echoed from the factory floor, followed by the clatter of boxes. Barry's face, which had been a mask of professional desperation, instantly brightened. "Ah, excellent timing. And now for our truly revolutionary feature, the optional full-size screen upgrade." The journalists, initially sceptical, burst into laughter. The head of marketing buried his face in his hands. But as the real Pocket Rocket 15 screens were hastily installed and demonstrated, a strange thing happened. The story of the peekaboo display, the Mongolian screens, and Barry's impromptu improvisation became an instant legend. Sales of the Pocket Rocket 15 skyrocketed, partly because it was genuinely good phone, but mostly because everyone wanted to be part of the story. Barry, surprisingly, was held as a genius, a visionary who embraced chaos. And for years afterwards, a tiny, framed Pocket Rocket 15 with a Pocket Rocket 3 screen sat on his desk, a reminder of the great screen shortage of 23. He even occasionally used it to encourage focused interaction. Vocabulary notes. Receding, meaning moving back or away from a previous position. In the story, it's used to describe Barry's hairline, meaning his hair is getting thinner at the front. Example: a man whose receding hairline was matched only by his receding patience. Similar words: diminishing, retreating, fading. Example sentence: the sound of the car engine was receding into the distance. Bellowed, meaning to shout in a deep, powerful voice. This word suggests a loud, aggressive tone, often out of anger or frustration. Example: "Where are they, Sandra? Where are the screens?" he bellowed, his voice echoing amongst the whirring machinery. Similar words: roared, thundered, roared. Example sentence: the football coach bellowed instructions from the sideline. Meticulously, meaning in a way that shows great attention to detail, very carefully and precisely. Example: the skilled technicians, usually meticulously attaching high-definition displays, were now painstakingly fitting minuscule Pocket Rocket 3 screens. Similar words: carefully, precisely, thoroughly. Example sentence: the artist meticulously painted every single leaf on the tree. Flanked, meaning to be on both sides of someone or something. Example: he was flanked by his two assistants as he nervously waited for the presentation to begin. Similar words: surrounded, bordered, accompanied. Example sentence: the Queen was flanked by her guards as she walked to the carriage. Impromptu, meaning done or said without being planned or prepared in advance. Example: Barry's impromptu improvisation became an instant legend. Similar words: unplanned, spontaneous, off the cuff. Example sentence: we had an impromptu party after work on Friday. Story written by Gemini AI. Image created by AI Magic X AI. To read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
Okay, welcome. For today's deep dive, we're tackling something pretty interesting. Navigating a massive, sudden supply chain disaster.
That's right. We're using a story, a fictional one, about a company called Pocket Rocket Phones Ltd.
And it really highlights the chaos, right? We jump right in at the worst moment.
Exactly. Picture this. Barry, the factory manager, he's days from launching the brand new Pocket Rocket 15.
Yeah.
Big deal for the company.
Huge deal. But instead of excitement, he's looking at thousands of finished phones that are, well, essentially just expensive bricks. They don't work.
They're useless. And the reason, it's almost comical if it wasn't so critical.
Yeah, get this, the special screens they need, they aren't just late.
No, they're physically stuck in a customs warehouse in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia.
Mongolia. You can just hear Barry's reaction, can't you? Apparently he was yelling something like, "We make phones, we don't deliver yaks."
Yeah, the frustration must have been immense. Global logistics, eh? When it works, it's invisible. When it breaks.
It breaks spectacularly. So launch day is breathing down their necks. What do? There's no time to get the real screens.
Right. Zero time. This is where the desperate improvisation comes in. Barry's assistant, Sandra, she comes up with this plan. She suggests using the emergency spare screens they have lying around. But these aren't for the 15.
Okay. Spares for what then?
For the Pocket Rocket 3. An ancient model. Think really old phone tech.
Pocket Rocket 3. Wow. So we're talking a tiny screen, right? Like postage stamp size, low res.
Exactly. Primitive. Now imagine the engineers trying to fit this tiny ancient screen onto the big, sleek body of the brand new Pocket Rocket 15.
That sounds visually jarring. I mean, how did that even look?
Absurd. Totally absurd. We actually have some quotes from the quality control team at the time.
Oh, this should be good.
One person said the phone ended up looking like a sophisticated calculator that got lost.
Okay, I can picture that.
Another one joked it was like looking through a keyhole into the future.
A keyhole, right? So you have this ridiculous-looking product. The logical thing seems to be postpone the launch. Delay.
You'd think so. But Barry, maybe out of desperation, maybe genius, decides to go ahead. Launch anyway.
With the keyhole phones, that takes guts or something else.
Right. Madness or marketing brilliance, it's a fine line sometimes. And this is where Barry pivots hard into crisis communications.
So he doesn't hide it.
Hides it? No way. He steps onto the stage, curtains open, and instead of apologizing for this thing, he embraces it, rebrands the failure on the spot.
Wow! What did he even call it?
Get this, the innovative peekaboo display.
Peekaboo. Seriously. Did anyone actually buy that?
Well, he framed it. He claimed it was a deliberate, temporary retrofuturistic design choice.
A temporary retrofuturistic.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But here's the clever bit. He didn't just state it. He connected it to something cultural. He spun it as a feature for focused interaction, for digital minimalism.
Tying it into the whole less screen time movement.
Wow.
That's actually pretty smart. Turning a bug into a feature, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shifting the narrative from we messed up to we're making you think. The audience was apparently stunned, then kind of intrigued by the sheer audacity of it all.
Okay, so he's mid-pitch, selling this digital minimalism angle, and then...
And then, the twist. Right in the middle of the launch event, you hear this rumbling. A big delivery truck pulls up.
No!
Yes. And Sandra's voice cuts through everything. Barry, the screens are here. The actual Ulaanbaatar screens had finally arrived.
You cannot make this stuff up. The timing.
Perfect, right. So Barry, without missing a beat, pivots again. He announces the immediate availability of the optional full-size screen upgrade.
Brilliant. So the whole story, the disaster, Mongolia, the tiny screens, the peekaboo pitch, it all just worked.
It became legendary almost instantly. Sales for the Pocket Rocket 15 went through the roof. People wanted the phone with the story.
So Barry, the guy who was probably moments from a total meltdown,
Ends up being hailed as a genius, a master of chaos, someone who turned an absolute catastrophe into a massive win.
incredible. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. And that's maybe the final thought for you listening. How often does being backed into an impossible corner, like having to use those tiny screens, actually unlock something genuinely original, even if it's by accident?
Yeah, does embracing that kind of chaos sometimes lead to better outcomes than just sticking rigidly to the plan, no matter how meticulous it was?
Something to ponder, definitely. Especially when things inevitably go off script.
Absolutely. Well, that's our deep dive for today. We'll catch you on the next one.